Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really big question, one that seems to be everywhere. Is artificial intelligence actually taking over American jobs?
It's definitely a hot topic. You hear it discussed across so many industries.
Absolutely. And it affects, well, all kinds of professions. So we want to move past the headlines today, try to get to the core of what's really going on.
Exactly. It's rarely a simple yes or no, is it? We're aiming for a proper deep dive here, looking at the complexities, how AI is genuinely reshaping work. We've got some data, like from the 2024 World Economic Forum report, to help guide us.
Okay, good. Let's start there then with those, headline-grabbing numbers.
Yeah.
That WEF report, it estimates AI could displace something like 85 million jobs globally by next year, 2025.
That's the figure, yes. And it's understandably a number that generates quite a bit of anxiety.
For sure. How could it not?
But, and this is crucial, the very same report projects that AI is also expected to create around 97 million new roles globally, again, in that same time frame.
Okay. So displacement on one hand, creation on the other.
Precisely. But the real nuance here, the critical thing to grasp, is that the jobs being potentially lost aren't necessarily the same kinds of jobs as the ones being created. The skills might not match up.
That's the crux of it, isn't it? It's not just swapping like for like. So what kinds of jobs are we talking about on the automation front? Things like cashiers, right? Data entry.
Yes, those are prime examples. Also, certain types of customer support roles, areas where the tasks are often quite repetitive or follow predictable rules.
And these sectors employ a huge number of Americans. So even small seeming shifts can have a massive ripple effect.
They really can. And if you think about the nature of those tasks, highly structured, data-heavy, pattern-based, well, that's exactly what current AI is getting very, very good at. Processing information consistently without needing a break.
Yeah, tirelessly. To make this more concrete, we looked into the story of Sarah. She's a single mother from Ohio, and she worked as a loan processing officer for, 12 years?
12 years, yeah. So not a newcomer. She had real experience built up in her field.
Definitely. But then in 2023, her company brought in a new AI system.
Right. This system, likely a mix of algorithms and machine learning, was designed specifically to automate that loan processing workflow. It could, scan documents, analyze credit data, even flag applications for approval or denial much faster than a person could.
And the outcome for Sarah? She was laid off.
Unfortunately, yes.
And the company's reasoning was pretty blunt from what we understand. The AI doesn't need a salary, no healthcare benefits, no sick days.
It operates 24/7. The cost savings were presumably significant.
It's a really tough reality. And the point is, Sarah's story, it isn't some isolated incident, is it?
Not at all. It really reflects this growing pattern where the pure economic efficiency of AI, its speed, its lower operational cost, leads directly to job displacement. It forces us to ask some hard questions about adaptation.
For individuals and for society as a whole, really.
Absolutely.
Which naturally leads to the thought that's probably crossing many listeners' minds right now. Okay, what about my job? How safe am I? Are certain fields just immune?
Well, immune is maybe too strong a word, but currently, roles that heavily rely on uniquely human traits are considered less susceptible to complete replacement.
Okay, like what? What kind of traits are we talking about?
Think deep-seated human intuition, complex problem solving that draws on years of varied experience, genuine creativity, and maybe most importantly, empathy.
Right, so professions like therapists, maybe, teachers, nurses.
Exactly. Jobs where that nuanced human interaction, that deep understanding and connection is absolutely central to the role. It's hard to see AI fully replicating that, at least for now.
Okay, that makes sense. But even in fields that seem really human-centric, AI is starting to creep in, isn't it? Even creative fields aren't totally separate anymore.
That's a very important point. We're definitely seeing AI tools making inroads into areas we used to think of as purely the domain of human creativity.
Like what specifically?
Well, AI can now write passable poetry, it can design logos, it can even compose original music. There was that case, you might have seen it, of an AI-generated song that actually went viral on TikTok.
Wow, okay, so it's not just analyzing data anymore, it's creating.
It's creating, yes. Which shows how quickly the technology is advancing and being adopted in, unexpected domains.
So, given all this churn, what are the experts saying? People who study this full time. We looked at folks like Eric Brynjolfsson at MIT. He has a specific take, right?
He does. Brynjolfsson and others who share his view often talk about AI as an augmentation tool.
Augmentation, meaning helping humans, not replacing them.
Essentially, yes. The idea is that AI, if we implement it thoughtfully, can work alongside humans, making us more productive, more efficient, handling the tedious parts of a job, perhaps, freeing up people for higher-level thinking or more complex tasks.
Like a marketing team using AI for data analysis so they can focus on the creative campaign strategy?
Exactly, that kind of synergy. It's about humans plus AI potentially achieving more than either could alone.
That sounds optimistic. But is that how it's playing out in the real world? Because, our sources suggest that for a lot of companies, the primary driver seems to be, cutting costs.
And that's the tension, isn't it? The potential for augmentation is there, it's real. But the immediate, tangible incentive for many businesses is the cost reduction that comes from automation. Labor is expensive.
Right. So if the AI can do the job cheaper and faster,
then the pressure to replace rather than augment can be very strong. It raises serious ethical questions when efficiency and cost-cutting potentially overshadow, worker well-being or the broader societal impact.
and we see huge companies pouring money into this. Amazon using AI in their warehouses for logistics.
Really massive investments there.
Google constantly refining search with AI.
Constantly. These aren't small experiments. They're core business strategies now.
Which inevitably affects the workforce. What actually happens to the people whose jobs are streamlined or eliminated by these powerful systems?
And that really brings us to the crucial question of what do we do about it? Where do we go from here? Our sources point towards a few potential paths, or at least areas needing urgent attention.
Okay, like what? Retraining seems like an obvious one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The need for large-scale reskilling and upskilling initiatives comes up again and again. We need to provide people with pathways to learn the skills relevant to this new AI-influenced job market.
Access to education, to training programs focused on AI literacy or working with AI systems.
Yes, investing in people, in human capital, is critical. But that's likely not enough on its own. The conversation around regulation is also getting much louder.
Regulation 2.
What?
Protect workers.
Yeah.
Ensure AI is used ethically.
Both, really. Finding ways to guide the implementation of AI, maybe setting standards to prevent, say, unchecked job displacement or monopolies using AI to exploit workers or consumers. It's about putting some guardrails in place.
That sounds complicated.
Oh, it's incredibly complex. And then there's an even more, perhaps, radical idea that keeps bubbling up: universal basic income. UBI.
Right. The idea of providing a regular, unconditional income to everyone. It's controversial, for sure.
Highly debated. But it's entering the mainstream discussion more seriously now, precisely because of the potential for widespread automation-driven job losses. How else might society support people if traditional jobs become scarce for large segments of the population?
It's a fundamental question.
It really is. And that's maybe the biggest takeaway from our sources. We desperately need a broad national conversation, one that goes beyond just the technology itself.
You mean talk about our values, what fairness looks like in this new era?
Exactly. And maybe even redefining what we consider work in the 21st century. It's about the kind of future we want to build with this technology.
So circling back to where we started, the big question: is AI taking over American jobs? After this deep dive, the answer seems to be, well, yes. It is. The nature of work is fundamentally shifting.
It appears so. Yes, in many sectors that shift is undeniable. But perhaps the more significant question, the one we should leave you, the listener, with, is this. Are we, as a society, truly ready for this profound transformation, for everything that comes with it?
That's definitely something to mull over. A lot to think about there. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive today.
We hope it gave you some food for thought on the future of work in the age of AI.